I worked at the AFL-CIO Housing Investment Trust this summer. And I would say we both did a little bit of everything. We worked with marketing, we worked with legal, but I mostly focused on, I worked with the portfolio management team and the economist to do research on markets that we're thinking of entering, but it's difficult because if you don't know what the trust does, we invest in affordable housing, but we have a requirement of 100% union labor, so it makes it difficult. But that was really helpful to be able to just work with people on researching strategies to figure that out. And I learned a lot about finance just mostly by sitting in meetings, but I think I learned most about, I think the HIT is the perfect example of what it means to be a good steward of labor capital, because we have the perfect triple bottom line. We create good returns, but we also create jobs and housing for people, so it was a great experience.
Hi, I'm Molly Donegan. I also interned at the AFL-CIO Housing Investment Trust, where, as to echo Claire's sentiments, we kind of did a little of everything. We dabbled in some portfolio management. We actually did some compliance testing. That was fun. Not really, but and then we drafted sales literature for the HIT to use for their investors. And I actually had the opportunity to create the formatting and just design of a profile for our subsidiaries, Building America, CDE, which was really interesting. And then I think one of the biggest projects that we both did this summer is that we researched affordable housing in major markets that the HIT is looking to invest in. So I took the cities of Chicago, Boston, and Seattle, just kind of keeping bi-weekly updates on everything that's going on in that city. And I learned a lot about affordable housing, labor unions, politics, and just current events that are going on all over the country. But I think my biggest takeaway from this summer is that pensions really make the world go round. And I had no idea before going into that, and how much labor and everything combined just really drives our economy. And it was honestly a great learning experience here at the HIT and being in DC for the summer. So thank you all for having me.
Brandon Escamilla, and I was fortunate enough to be able to work with LIANA, which represents construction workers in the United States and Canada. They're one of the largest labor organizations, or labor unions actually. And I worked for the Corporate Affairs Department alongside May Valor, Erin Hudson, and Jennifer Odell. And one of the first projects I did actually was looking at how different union labor and non-union labor is with regard to the wind farm industry. And basically what I saw was there were obviously vast differences with how FOIA reports were filed for both of those different groups. So there were more FOIA reports for the non-union labor workers working on wind farms. So that definitely helped them out when they were constructing a case against non-labor representation. And I also learned a tremendous amount about pension plans, which is really great. I had absolutely no idea what pension plans were. So I was very much exposed to that. And just to echo what Molly said, they really do make the world go round. And then I guess I really appreciated the fact that at LIANA I was included in every meeting basically with top executives from multiple companies. And not just that, but I was also asked when I was assigned my task whether the methodology was the adequate way in which I should be undertaking that project. And so I was just very shocked by the fact that they were asking me for my own opinion on how I should be doing my work. They were very inclusive, and they made me feel like I was at home while working at LIANA, so I'm very much appreciative of that.
This summer I was working at Change to Win's Capital Strategies department, where I got to do some really great work looking at companies and assessing them, both in terms of their labor practices and in terms of what we could do in the way of shareholder initiatives and corporate governance. That was really fun for me because I got to combine some interesting statistical and math stuff with some more soft muck grubbing. It was a good time. I worked with Maite looking at Uber and other rideshare companies, doing some financial and economic analysis to see what happens when they try to transition to automatic vehicles. I looked for companies that had bad buybacks, that is buybacks where the company ended up losing value and the money was either wasted or funneled into executive pockets. And I got to write the speech that we gave for our shareholder proposal at the Alphabet meeting.
Wow.
Whoa!
That's a big one.
Wow. Can you share that?
I can. It's online. So it was a great time. I learned a lot. I came from a background in science, and I was able to apply some of that scientific knowledge, but I was also able to learn so much about policy and people at this job that I think that even though I had to shred all my notes and documents the day I left, I think the knowledge is going to stay with me for a long time.
Organization this summer, they're in commercial real estate, mainly retail centers that have top grocery tenants by market share in major GLAs. So an interesting project I worked on in the acquisitions department was actually Opportunity Zones, which is a new investment vehicle and relatively new. 2017 is when it was created. And for those who don't know what it's about, it's mainly creates tax benefits for investors who want to invest in lower income properties, businesses throughout the United States. And Sterling Organization was trying to invest in these properties and in areas around it, and my job was to find retail centers that have major grocers. A lot of them had unions, union labor, such as Safeway, Kroger, Jewel-Osco, Stop and Shop, those kinds of places that Sterling usually has as properties. So yeah, Opportunity Zones was my main project. Then also my other takeaway was just the people I met down there. I'd never been to Florida or anything, but the company actually had some very talented young employees in my acquisitions department. So it was really great getting to know them. Even got to know them outside the office too. It's just really great experience. That's my takeaway.
Are you connected on LinkedIn?
We are.
Okay,
Of course.
6 weeks, and it was an amazing experience. I come from doing a lot of work in government and nonprofit, so I was a little bit scared to go into the capital strategies department, but it was a really great learning experience where everyone made me feel comfortable in being able to ask questions. And we have like a small team of 5, but it was great because I felt like I got to know everyone and I was able to ask for help, and I felt like from day one I was able to go to meetings and cross over to other departments and really understand the work that Capital Strategies does for Teamsters, but also for the labor movement. And just something that my big takeaway was that you can work in something that you're passionate about and from a different angle that you might have not even thought about. So I think that going away this summer, my big takeaway is just really taking the time to look into something that you're passionate about and seeing if there's a job that you can do that helps push for example, for me, push the labor movement through a corporate governance standpoint.
But hi everyone, I'm Sandra, and this summer I interned with GCM Grosvenor. It's an asset management firm in Chicago. And I had a great experience, both because I was in the city, but also the company was really great on having me on board and being with the other interns and learning the other verticals in the company, the history, and just so much exposure to both executives and to younger people and analysts. So that was really great. For the team that I was working with, it's called the Labor Impact Fund, and it's a new product that the company launched about 2 years ago. So it's been very fascinating seeing how the team has so much experience, and they've been able to fundraise, I think, by the end of this year, close to $1 billion. So it's amazing and extremely commendable. So I'm really grateful for having the experience to work with people who have this experience, but also care about these issues and able to come up with a product that really serves to the best interest of us. And during the time there, I worked with due diligence stuff. So basically looking at private markets, investments that we've made or potential ones, and doing the research on them, labor screens, and it gave you a lot of exposure to what the company actually does, both on the investment side but also on operations. So that was like really interesting to learn. And also with the strategy, seeing the possible investments we can make and learning about those jurisdictions and a lot of the challenges that come out of it. It's something that I would never have thought about. And they allowed me to ask questions and learn more. So I think it's a very valuable experience, and I'm really glad I got to spend it.
Fortunate enough to work at Siegel Marco in New York for the summer. They are a advisory and consulting company for 2/3 of their clients are Taft Hartley clients, and I get to work with the research team, which is the area I want to work with. And the first day that I walked in the office, the HR director is actually waiting for me at the door, which made me feel like very humble and felt very welcome there. And right on the first day, I get to sit in 2 meetings with our investment manager search, which is really great. And the first week, I get to go to 2 conferences in New York, which is one of the perks that being in New York, I guess, and with Siegel Marco, and that's very exciting. And so one of my main projects was working on about 50 different investment managers that to update their compliance and operations part for our due diligence investment manager report, so that the consultants can review every half a year to make sure that everything is working towards the right direction for our clients, so that I get to talk to a lot of the investment managers and see what updates they have for the last year, and update the manager reports and to send it to the team and the consultants to review. And the other thing is that I talked to Seth, who sit at our introduction meeting at the beginning of the summer, who was from Siegel Marco, who was the first guy I talked to from Siegel Marco, and he told me after the meeting, you're gonna have a lot of exposure to a different kind of type of asset classes, and you exposed to real estate and private equity, public equity, any other alternative investments. Part of me, I didn't really believe him, but after a few weeks in, I really did have those exposures. I talked to everyone that's working different asset classes, and they all are very willing to teach me what they know and what they do every day. And they almost immediately send me their calendars and say if you see there's an opening, you can just make an appointment with me and we can talk. And I get to talk about 6 of the managers and directors that they're doing their different research on different areas. And the other part is that when I attend the investment manager meetings, one of my emphasis is that if they are part of the signatory of the UN PRI initiative, which is very important these days, and I learned. The other thing is I also went to BlackRock on-site meeting, which is also eye-opening for me, because for me, I come from engineering background. I don't have much exposure in finance area. I heard the BlackRock name, but I never really know any detail about them. But walk into the meeting, is one director from Siegel Marco and me, and they have a team of 8 people to welcome us to talk to us, and we're not yet investing in that particular fund yet. I mean, we have exposure with them, but not that fund.
So they're your best friends for now.
I got some LinkedIn connections, yeah, for sure. So yeah, so my key takeaway is that I really get to learn all different finance for myself, which is really good because I want to switch careers from engineering to finance, and that's really helpful for me to choose a career in the future.
Partners in New York City, a private equity firm focusing in manufacturing and industrials. And I think aside from working with the investment team and the investor relations team, I took away the importance of manufacturing and industrials in everyday life. I mean, looking around, everything here is manufactured, right? And it's such an important part of not only the American economy, but American human development and then global human development, and how you can kind of change views based on how you act. And I think the LCS Fellowship was great about that because it encourages responsible investing in that type of field. And I guess my takeaway is I have a very unconventional, unique background. I never thought I'd be spending my summer in a private equity shop in Midtown Manhattan, but I loved it. I achieved my goals of financial modeling and getting better at Excel, and I really enjoyed my time there.
I'm Noah Ruffin. I worked at Ulico this summer in the real estate investment department, and I was working like they have different portfolios, and I was mainly working under the J for Jobs, working on annual loan reviews, just reviewing like property financials, and then coming up with kind of a descriptive report about how the property is performing. And then I just reviewed a lot of underwriting and the type of loans that they have in the company, and just a lot of just background about real estate, mortgages, how financial institutions and banks go about lending, and just a lot of good stuff.